Apostate as adjective. One who has abandoned or renounced a religious faith or belief, relating to or characterized by apostasy, or the renunciation of a religious faith. The politician was accused of being an apostate after changing her position on an important issue. The religious leader was excommunicated for being an apostate and renouncing his faith. The group accused the member of being an apostate for leaving their cause and joining their rivals. The writer was criticized for being an apostate to the literary movement he had once championed. The athlete was labeled an apostate by fans for switching to a rival team.
Unflappable as adjective. Not easily upset, disturbed, or distracted by external circumstances, remaining calm and composed in stressful or challenging situations. Even in the face of a crisis, she remained unflappable, calmly assessing the situation and taking appropriate action. The experienced pilot remained unflappable, maneuvering the aircraft safely through turbulent weather conditions. The CEO's unflappable demeanor during the shareholders' meeting instilled confidence and stability. Despite the intense pressure, the goalkeeper displayed an unflappable focus, making crucial saves throughout the match. In stressful situations, his unflappable nature made him a reliable and composed leader.
Imperious as adjective. Arrogantly demanding or bossy. Overbearing or domineering in manner or attitude. The imperious boss always expected everyone to follow his orders without question. The imperious queen demanded that her subjects obey her every command. The imperious coach berated his players for every mistake they made. The imperious teacher gave her students no room for discussion or disagreement. The imperious diplomat acted as if he was above everyone else in the room. Rustic as adjective. Relating to the countryside or rural areas, often characterized by simplicity, naturalness, or a lack of sophistication, of a simple or unsophisticated character or style. The rustic cabin in the woods was the perfect place to get away from civilization for a few days. The restaurant had a rustic decor, with wooden tables and chairs and exposed brick walls. The old-fashioned, rustic charm of the small town was a big draw for tourists. The rustic flavor of the homemade bread was a hit with customers at the bakery. The rustic style of the handcrafted furniture gave the room a warm and inviting feel. Unprecedented as adjective. Never before seen, done, or experienced. Without previous example or parallel. Novel or unique. The pandemic caused an unprecedented global crisis. The company achieved unprecedented success with its new product. The athlete broke an unprecedented number of records in a single season. The discovery of a new species of animal was unprecedented in the scientific community. The damage caused by the hurricane was unprecedented in the region's history.
Melancholy as adjective. A state or condition of feeling sad, depressed, or dejected. Someone who is pensive, introspective, or lost in thought, often in a sad or contemplative way. The old photographs in the attic filled her with a bittersweet sense of melancholy as she reminisced about the past. The empty house had a melancholy air about it, as if it were still mourning the loss of its previous occupants. She was struck by a melancholy feeling as she watched the sun set over the ocean. The melancholy strains of the violin added to the already somber mood of the funeral. He couldn't shake off the melancholy that had been weighing on him for days, despite his best efforts to stay positive.
Derisive as adjective. Disrespectful or mocking in nature, showing contempt or ridicule towards someone or something. His derisive comments about her work were hurtful and unnecessary. The candidate's derisive tone during the debate turned off many voters. The comedian's derisive humor often relied on mocking marginalized groups. The teacher's derisive remarks about students who struggled with the material were unhelpful. The player's derisive behavior towards the referee resulted in a red card. Baleful as adjective. It can also imply a sense of malice or ill intent. Describes something that is harmful, dangerous, or ominous. The baleful look in his eyes suggested that he was not to be trifled with. The storm clouds gathered overhead, casting a baleful shadow over the town. The dictator's baleful influence was felt throughout the country, with many people living in fear of his regime. The eerie silence of the abandoned house had a baleful effect on the visitors, making them feel uneasy and unwelcome. The baleful effects of climate change were becoming increasingly apparent, with rising sea levels and more frequent natural disasters. Peremptory as adjective. Imperative, mandatory, or dictatorial, leaving no opportunity for denial or refusal. His peremptory tone of voice made it clear that he was in charge. The CEO issued a peremptory directive that all employees must follow. Her peremptory dismissal of the proposal was met with shock and disappointment. The judge's peremptory decision was final and could not be appealed. He made a peremptory gesture with his hand, indicating that the conversation was over. Reverent as adjective, expressing deep admiration and awe, showing respect and reverence for something or someone considered sacred or worthy of worship. The audience was reverent during the solemn ceremony. The reverent worshippers bowed their heads in prayer. The artist's work was treated with reverent care in the museum. The reverent tone of the speaker conveyed the importance of the issue. The reverent attitude of the student towards their teacher earned them respect. Immutable as adjective, not subject to change or alteration, unchanging over time, or unable to be changed. The rules of grammar are largely immutable, although they may evolve over time. The concept of human rights is based on the belief in certain immutable values. The immutable nature of the universe is a source of wonder for many scientists. The laws of physics are thought to be immutable. The principles of mathematics are considered immutable. Embryonic as adjective, to or in the early stages of development like an embryo. The embryonic stage of development is crucial for the formation of organs and tissues. The company invested heavily in embryonic research to develop new treatments for disease. The project is still in its embryonic stage and requires further development. The embryonic stem cells have the potential to differentiate into any type of cell in the body. The theory is still in its embryonic form and requires more research to be fully validated. Ephemeral as adjective, lasting only a short time, transitory, short-lived or transitory in nature. The beauty of a sunset is often described as ephemeral, as it lasts for only a brief moment. Fashion trends are notoriously ephemeral, coming and going with the seasons. The lifespan of some species of butterflies is so short that they can be considered ephemeral. Social media posts are typically ephemeral and may disappear after a short time. The snowfall is ephemeral in this part of the country, melting quickly due to the warm climate. Anemic as adjective, exhibiting symptoms such as fatigue, weakness, and pale skin due to a deficiency of red blood cells, lacking vitality, energy, or strength. The anemic sales figures indicated a decline in consumer demand. The anemic economy resulted in high unemployment rates and sluggish growth. Her anemic performance in the competition disappointed her fans and coaches. The plant's anemic leaves were a clear sign of nutrient deficiency. Despite their efforts, the team's anemic defense couldn't stop the opposing team's scoring. Blinkered as adjective, displaying a close-minded or restricted perspective, typically ignoring relevant information or ideas. Having a narrow or limited outlook, often due to being unwilling or unable to consider alternative viewpoints or possibilities. His blinkered approach to problem-solving hindered him from considering alternative solutions. The government's blinkered policies failed to address the deeper societal issues. Her blinkered perspective prevented her from seeing the broader implications of her actions. The company's blinkered vision limited its ability to adapt to market changes. His blinkered mindset restricted him from understanding diverse viewpoints. Philistine as adjective, having or showing a narrow or utilitarian approach to life, especially with regards to cultural or artistic matters. Materialistic and lacking in cultural or intellectual interests or values. The critic dismissed the painting as Philistine, lacking any intellectual depth or artistic merit. His Philistine taste in music meant he only listened to the most popular radio hits. The company's Philistine approach to design resulted in bland, uninspired products. She found his Philistine attitude toward literature and poetry frustrating, as he saw no value in them. The restaurant's Philistine menu consisted of cheap, unhealthy fast food. Dilapidated as adjective, in a state of disrepair, often as a result of neglect or age, worn out, damaged, or fallen into ruin. The dilapidated old house was in desperate need of repair. The abandoned factory was dilapidated and dangerous, with broken windows and collapsing walls. The streets in the neglected neighborhood were lined with dilapidated buildings and overgrown weeds. The once grand hotel had become dilapidated over the years, with peeling paint and rusty fixtures. The dilapidated car barely made it to the end of the street, sputtering and smoking along the way. Avaricious as adjective, excessively eager to acquire wealth or possessions, greedy and covetous. The avaricious businessman was willing to cut corners and exploit workers to increase his profits. His avaricious nature made him unpopular with his colleagues, as he would often hoard resources and credit for himself. The avaricious landlord refused to make necessary repairs to his buildings, even at the expense of his tenants' safety. A culture of avaricious behavior can lead to a lack of trust and cooperation in the workplace. The avaricious nature of some politicians can erode public trust in the democratic process.
Dolorous as adjective. Adjective meaning causing or characterized by pain or sadness. Expresses a deep sense of mourning, sorrow, or unhappiness. The book's ending was particularly dolorous, leaving readers with a feeling of despair. The dolorous melody of the song conveyed a sense of mourning and loss. The actor's dolorous performance moved the audience to tears. The sound of the wind was dolorous as it blew through the empty streets. The painter used dolorous colors and brushstrokes to create a somber atmosphere in her artwork.
Candid as adjective, honest and straightforward in speech or expression, not having or showing any bias or prejudice. The performance review was candid, offering constructive criticism to help the employee improve their work. The politician gave a candid interview, answering difficult questions with honesty and transparency. The documentary presented a candid view of the artist's life, including both their successes and struggles. The couple had a candid conversation about their relationship, discussing their concerns and hopes for the future. The book provided a candid account of the author's experiences, including their personal struggles and achievements. Ready to boost your English? Meet our vocabulary app, the fun and effective way to master the language. Books learn advanced words with examples and audio. Direct hit master idioms, proverbs, and phrasal verbs. Video game enjoy quizzes, flashcards, and pronunciation tests. Glow showing Europe, Africa translate into 100+ languages, all in one app. Did you learn new words? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share my channel. Download now and start your journey to vocabulary mastery.